Hello my friend and welcome to this month's Good News episode as we take a look at what's gone right over the last month. Because yes, even though the headlines may tell us differently, there's still good happening out there in the world. If you're new here, I'm Sam and I make videos highlighting good news and solutions to some of the world's biggest problems. And if you've been here before, it's lovely to have you back, and if you're enjoying these roundups, tap that like button down below, and if you're on a walk, sat with your family, or even on the toilet, let me know where you're watching from down in the comments, as it helps us push these good news stories out there and compete with all the doom and gloom on our news feeds. Also, YouTube this month announced that creators can now record a voice reply to comments on their own videos. So if you want me to spam you with a voice reply, get in the comments. So let's get into it. Here's some good news from March that you might have missed. And we're starting in Portugal, where Europe's first dedicated sanctuary for captive elephants is set to open, offering a long overdue lifeline to hundreds of elephants living in captivity. The 1,000-acre refuge in Portugal's Alentejo region is modelled on leading elephant sanctuaries in Asia, Africa and the Americas. Built on land once used for cattle farming and eucalyptus plantations, the site is now being restored using rewilding principles. Elephants actually once roamed the Iberian Peninsula thousands of years ago, and ancient footprints dating back 30,000 years have even been found along the same coast. The sanctuary will remain closed to daily visitors, operating purely for the welfare of the animals and the recovery of the land, and it's urgently needed. More than 600 elephants still live in captivity across Europe, so when it opens, it won't just provide space, it'll offer safety, dignity, and a more natural life for elephants who have spent decades living without one. Now, I've featured this awesome organisation before who are developing and scaling technologies to rid the oceans of plastic. The Ocean Cleanup are setting their sights on India, targeting the 5 million kilograms of plastic that flow from Mumbai into the Arabian Sea every year. Mumbai has been identified as one of 30 cities worldwide responsible for nearly 1/3 of global river-based plastic emissions. After conducting a detailed smart river survey, the organisation pinpointed the Trombay and Malad waterways as major sources of ocean-bound waste. Barrier systems are set to be deployed this year and are expected to remove between 61 and 92 tonnes of plastic annually. And the impact could be significant. Plastic leakage from Mumbai affects 220 kilometres of coastline, 152 square kilometres of mangroves, more than 100 protected species, and nearly 1.9 million livelihoods tied to coastal ecosystems. And across India, around 80% of marine litter is plastic. By stopping waste before it reaches the ocean, Mumbai's intervention could become a blueprint for other high-impact cities and show how targeted, data-driven solutions can help us cut plastic pollution at scale. And it's not just waterways that India is cleaning up. Delhi has pledged to convert 100% of its public transport buses to electric within 3 years, with 11,000 electric buses and the infrastructure to support them already in the works, part of a mission to clean India's air too. And this leads me beautifully into my next story about an individual doing something incredible with air. This Nobel Prize winning chemist invented a machine capable of harvesting clean water from even the driest air. It can produce up to 1,000 litres a day using minimal energy and no centralised infrastructure. The system, designed by Omar Yaghi, works by using specially engineered materials that capture moisture from the air and turn it into drinking water. Developed by his company Adoptable, the units are about the size of a shipping container and can run entirely off low-grade thermal energy, which means they can operate even when electricity and water systems fail. Yaghi says the technology could help communities hit by hurricanes or droughts, especially small island nations in the Caribbean where storms could knock out water infrastructure for weeks. So solutions like this could be a lifeline for the 2.2 billion people worldwide that lack safely managed drinking water. And whilst we're talking about amazing individuals, let me introduce you to another legend down in Brazil. This guy in Brazil is turning rooftops in Rio's favelas into gardens, and it's helping cool down entire neighbourhoods. This is Luiz Cassiano, founder of Tito Verde Favela, and he's helping solve a huge problem. See, favelas can be 20 degrees Celsius hotter than surrounding areas, creating dangerous heat that causes serious health issues, and air conditioning is really expensive. But Luiz found a solution. He created a lightweight green roof system that works on the kind of roofs favela homes already have. First, an engineer checks the roof safety, then a waterproof vinyl sheet is added. Instead of heavy soil, a lightweight plastic fabric made from recycled bottles acts as the soil. Hardy, succulents and low maintenance plants, often salvaged or donated, are then planted on top. These green roofs create safer and more livable conditions for residents, and the best part is, they cost just $1 per square foot compared to $11 for conventional green roofs. Working with schools and community groups, Louise trains local residents to build and maintain the roofs themselves, and you'll now find them on homes, bus stops, daycare centres and even food trucks throughout the area. With green spaces usually found in wealthier areas, green roofs are bringing equality to low-income neighbourhoods, helping not only physical health but mental health too. Whilst we're in Brazil, I wanted to highlight a story that didn't make many headlines, and it's about an indigenous community in the Amazon who beat a US agricultural giant and protected one of the world's most beautiful waterways. River defenders forced Brazil's government to cancel a plan that would have allowed private companies to take control of major rivers, including the Tapajós, opening them up to dredging and heavy cargo traffic to move soy from Brazil's farms to global markets. Brazil produces about 40% of the world's soy, most of which is used to feed livestock around the world, and one of the biggest companies operating there is US agricultural giant Cargill, which controls much of the soy exported through the port of Santarém. In response, thousands of indigenous activists and allies occupied their terminal for 33 days, while others protested outside Cargill's offices in Sao Paulo. And the pressure worked. The government cancelled the plan in a major victory for indigenous communities, who warned that the dredging would damage the Tapajós River, their territories, and the fragile ecosystems of the Amazon rainforest. And it's thanks to indigenous communities like this and people working in conservation that much of our wildlife remains protected and safe from exploitation or development. And there were some big wildlife wins around the world over the last month too. In Serbia, the eastern imperial eagle is making an extraordinary comeback. Just 8 years ago, the country had a single breeding pair left, but today there are 19 pairs, with 10 successfully raising young last year. Thanks to relentless nest protection, community engagement and cross-border conservation support from Hungary. Once shot, poisoned and stripped of nesting trees by intensive agriculture, the species is now slowly reclaiming territory across the plains of Vojvodina. In the subantarctic, southern elephant seals in South Africa have been downgraded from near threatened to least concern. Populations on Marion and Prince Edward Islands have grown to around 5,500 individuals, supported by decades of strong legal protections and marine protected area status. India's cheetah reintroduction is also gaining pace, with 3 new cubs born in Kunu National Park, bringing the country's total population to 38. The milestone marks continued progress in restoring the world's fastest land animal to a landscape it once roamed before being declared extinct in India in 1952. And in the Galapagos, 158 juvenile giant tortoises have returned to Floriana Island for the first time in 180 years. Bred from individuals with surviving Floriana ancestry, their release restores a lost keystone species that shapes vegetation, disperses seeds, and rebuilds entire ecosystems. Next, we head to Scotland, who made history by becoming the first country in the UK to legalise water cremations, offering families a more sustainable alternative to traditional burial and cremation. The process, known as aquamation or alkaline hydrolysis, works by placing the body in a pressurised chamber filled with a mixture of water and potassium hydroxide, heated to around 150 degrees Celsius. Rather than burning, the solution gently breaks down the body's soft tissue over several hours, leaving only the bones, which are then dried and pulverised into a fine white powder using a machine called a cremulator. Kind of sounds like a terrible version of the Terminator. And this powder is then given to the family in an urn. And it's much better for the planet too. Aquamation requires roughly 1/7 of the energy of traditional cremation and emits 7 times less CO2. The Scottish Government expects the first procedures to take place this summer. Would you prefer a water cremation like this over a traditional burial or cremation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This next story takes us to Sierra Leone, where 1 in 52 women died during pregnancy or childbirth, and where, until this year, there was not a single neonatal intensive care unit in the entire nation. But last month, that changed. Authors and online creators Hank and John Green, best known for The Fault in Our Stars and their YouTube channel Vlogbrothers, spent 6 years rallying their community to fund the country's first ever NICU, and together they raised an incredible $50 million. The resulting 166-bed maternal centre of excellence now has 200 trained clinical staff, 51 midwives, and the specialist newborn care the country has never had. Hours after opening on Valentine's Day, a baby girl weighing just 3.79 pounds was delivered and immediately received care that simply wouldn't have existed the day before. John Green was quick to credit the people of Sierra Leone and said, "The folks who actually built the hospital, who actually provide the care, those are the people who really made this possible." Another win for health this month came in the form of a new drug for advanced prostate cancer, the most common cancer in men across the UK and US, that is showing stunning results according to researchers at the Institute of Cancer Research and the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust. The drug is called VIR 5500 and it's a type of immunotherapy, meaning it uses the body's own immune system to hunt down and destroy cancer cells. And what makes it special is that it only activates inside the tumour, which dramatically reduces side effects. In one case, a 63-year-old man whose cancer had spread to his liver had 14 cancerous lesions completely disappear after just 6 rounds of treatment. The lead researcher says treatments like this could, in the long term, lead to cures, and larger trials are now being planned. Before the last couple of stories, I just want to say a big shout out to my wonderful Patreon and YouTube community who help me produce these videos and shine some light on people fighting for a better future. And for the price of an unmemorable side dish, you can join the fight against all the doom and gloom, help me make more of these good news shows, and get your name in them too. And doesn't that sound better than some forgettable Padron peppers? To support, just scan this QR code or tap the link at the top of the description to join a movement of people fighting to show that good is still out there. And if it's easier, I've also set up YouTube memberships, so all you need to do is click that join button down below to join over here instead. For this next story, we stay right here in the UK, where our first geothermal power plant has officially switched on, supplying up to 10,000 homes with constant renewable energy. Located in Cornwall, the £50 million project was developed by Geothermal Engineering Limited, which drilled the deepest onshore well in UK history, reaching nearly 3 miles below the surface to tap into the Earth's natural heat. So essentially, deep beneath the Earth's crust lies intensely hot rock, heated by magma far below the surface. In fact, the heat just over 6 miles down contains around 50,000 times more energy than all the world's oil and natural gas combined. By drilling a few miles into the ground, engineers can tap into a tiny fraction of that heat, bringing hot water and steam to the surface that spin turbines and generate electricity 24 hours a day, all year round, making it a super reliable source of clean energy. Alongside power, the UK power plant will also extract lithium from the hot underground water, creating the UK's first domestic supply of a critical mineral used in things like electric vehicle batteries. I want to end on a pretty cute story, to be honest. So essentially, this video went viral and it showed dogs who were up for adoption choosing their owners. Super cute, right? Well, annoyingly, this was AI. But then New York City Animal Care Center actually recreated this and did it for real. They started hosting real-life adoption events called Love at First Wag, where potential adopters filled out a form in advance, so the whole thing was properly organised. As the form puts it, during each session, we'll have up to 10 adopters in a room, and we'll bring in a couple of medium-large adult dogs one by one to pick their new family themselves. These much more meaningful videos, and most importantly, real, then went viral and helped actually create real-life positive change, finding dogs their forever homes. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching, and tap the like button if you've enjoyed this video and subscribe to keep the good news on your feed. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, my friend. Bye.